Namaste, I'm Poonam and I welcome you to another episode of Yoga Diaries to inspire you. Today we have a really special guest and we're going to focus our discussion on something that's really topical. We're all going through different phases of the easing of the lockdown. And there are lots and lots of different choices people are making. There are difficult choices, lots and lots of uncertainty. And in all of this, I think it'll be interesting to see where yoga sits. So let me welcome Becki. Namaste and welcome to our show.
Namaste. Thank you for having me, Poonam.
So Becki, my first question to you is, how did you get in touch with yoga?
I got in touch with yoga by stumbling across a studio nearly 20 years ago. And it was at a time when I was struggling a little bit with my mental health, which I've done since I was a teenager. So this wasn't a new experience for me, but I was in a new town. And I just tried out their classes and found that the practice of yoga really resonated with me, made me feel quite strong in my body in a way that physical cardio exercise hadn't. But it also gave me a real focus to my mind, and it kind of quietened down that internal chatter, which definitely sparked the challenges with the mental health.
Okay, so how has your journey evolved since? It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I'm now a 500-hour yoga teacher. I teach mindfulness and yoga online and in studios, in schools, and I continue to learn. Our journey, as you'll know, it never really stops. You kind of crack the egg with yoga, and then it's a layer, and then it's just a wonder to explore. So I'm exploring a lot more about breath work, so pranayama, because I've found that that's a really helpful tool for me with anxiety, with stress, and exploring like meditations. And so really looking at yoga as a lifestyle now, less than a movement practice, which I guess we.
Becki, I'd like to take you back from when you started, and then what you mentioned sounds like a major transformation in your life. And could you just take us through some of the steps, the milestones, or your challenges, how you overcame them, and what was your journey to becoming a yoga teacher today?
So I kind of went from this journey where I found yoga at university as a student in my 20s, kind of going through life, learning who I am, to finding my way, I've got a practice that I quite like now. It's a bit more solidified in my weekly schedule. It certainly wasn't daily until the last 5 years. And then it supported me at really difficult times in my career. And now I took that step because I wanted to learn more about yoga itself and the philosophical side of it, and have shaped it into a new career. So I still do dabble in design and fashion, but very much have my feet grounded a little bit more in a calmer, more yogic lifestyle, I guess.
So can you share a little bit more detail about what tools of yoga, this program of ours is on the backdrop of being able to bring out, the 8 limbs of ancient yogic science, and also to share with our viewers more about yoga being not just about asanas. Of course, there's a lot of benefit we all get from the postures and from that body awareness, but there are so many more tools that are available within the yoga practice, which can support people, and they don't necessarily have to spend that much time, maybe in much shorter time. And I think you mentioned about breathing techniques, the pranayama side of things. Could you share a little bit more of what are the tools within the yoga framework that you have really tapped into, or what would be your go-to sort of tools with relation to anxiety, with relation to the overwhelmment that we all face, Becki?
So I guess in terms of my experience, it's definitely been very deep anxiety and trouble sleeping. And I actually have found that clients, students, friends have come to me a lot more in the past 5 months of lockdown, talking about their mental health, which is something quite new. But for me, I think the biggest struggle that has resurged during lockdown, and I think it's important to understand they never tend to go away, is anxiety. And anxiety can also help or give us challenges with our sleep. So what I've found most beneficial has been my breath practices, like a toolbox of breath practices, but also poses before bed. So, for example, legs up the wall, which we discussed earlier. I'm teaching more restorative poses to myself and to my students because I find it helps calm my nervous system. And I think that's the most beneficial thing we can do when we're feeling very anxious and uptight or a bit fearful, is to do things that are going to support us. So whether it's breathing to calm the nervous system or movement to calm the nervous system. And simple practices like legs up the wall can help just bring that gravitational pressure off the legs after a long, hard day, but can also really help sleep. And I think that's something that we don't know what our sleep is so precious.
Yes, there is so much of insomnia in the modern day today, and so many people are actually taking drugs just to sleep. And yes, I think what you're sharing is so interesting. And if I were to ask you, you know, if you had one liner on how yoga has transformed your life, and I know I'm putting you on a spot, but anything that's to them, what is yoga?
I mean, for me, yoga has been transformational for the inside of my body. Yes, there has been physical benefits, and I think people chase yoga for that initially because Instagram and social media plaster us with these ideal images of yogic women and men. But for me, it's about the inner work, and I just think it creates such awareness, but with compassion for your own body. I have a much better understanding of my own body and my own mental state of mind than I ever have done in all my life, and that's thanks to yoga, I believe.
Said, and I think you really summed it up really well. Yoga is body awareness and mental well-being, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so my last question to you today is that if you had, let's say, only 3 minutes, and you would like to pick a tool from your yoga toolkit, what would that be?
That would have to be, as I mentioned just before, was the legs up the wall. It's something that I teach in every class in the evening nowadays, and I often do at the end of the day. Is getting the legs up above the head, above the heart, letting that gravitational pressure come off, can calm the nervous system, and it can just feel quite childlike and just very restorative. So legs up the wall.
I definitely agree with you. It's one of my favorite poses. And while we've talked about a bit of mental well-being, Hatha Yoga, which is the traditional style of yoga, is most suitable for everybody, especially the beginners. These are easy poses, and the one which Becki has recommended is something which is simple to do, at the same time has lots of benefits. So we call this Viparita Karlani in Sanskrit terminology, but we're going to show you two different ways of practicing this. So if you all can get ready with your spaces, preferably on the floor. You don't necessarily have to have a wall. I have a wall against me, so I'm going to show you how we can set up ourselves and relax for 2.5 to 3 minutes there. Whereas Becki is going to show you how to do that even without having a wall around. So before I show you this pose, just want to tell you where all you can use this pose. So Becki has said it's something you can use just before sleeping to be able to give you a nice restful sleep. Definitely helps in de-stressing, definitely helps in increasing your circulation in a better way. And also for those of you who travel a lot, I would recommend, like I do to my yogis, that yes, when you travel and come into your hotel room, wherever you are, see if you can find those 10 to 15 minutes or at least 5 minutes of putting your legs up the wall and taking that tiredness, so it drains off that stress from your muscles and really helps calm your mind. So I'm sure by now you have your spaces ready. So I'm going to start first, and then I will be requesting our guests to show you. So if you all can just bring any cushion that you have, so that we have to support our lower back to be higher up and give that support to your tailbone and hip. So bring it close to you we are going to turn on one side. Bend your knees, turn on one side and try and sit, and then gently try to lie back and turn yourself on your cushion. I'm sliding my hips towards the wall and taking my legs up all the way. Find a restful position. Your lower back is supported by the cushion. You can have another bolster to support your head and be comfortable. And then just relax your toes, open your hands, and do some nice deep belly breaths. And now, Becki, if you could show us how to go into a position where we don't have a wall.
Of course. So you just need a rolled up towel, blanket, or a couple of cushions. I've got a nice big bolster, but you don't need to have that. Pop it under your knees, soles of the feet on the ground, and just lower your back down. Shoulders relaxed. And then using the feet, scoop the bum up, lift the pelvis, and just roll the cushion, blanket, or pillows underneath the bum cheeks, underneath the hips, just so the hips are up a bit higher. And then just gently holding onto the cushion, you can just bring the legs up to the sky. The cushion or pillow will just create a nice wedge for the hips, and you'll be able to just dangle the legs up to the air, arms out alongside you, palms up.
As you get into your positions, you can always have some nice music playing. And we keep our attention with us. In yoga, we receive benefits to the mind because we focus on our breathing and we stay in one position for a bit longer. So try and get belly breaths. It's a good idea or an option for you to place one of your hands in the middle of your chest and another one on your lower belly. And that way you can have a better connection with yourself. It's a gesture of self-love, self-care. And also you can sense your breathing, deep breathing into that belly as your hand lifts up. And as you exhale, you can see that your hand going down. And that response creates a heightened awareness, keeping your mind with you and allowing it to get relaxed and calm down. Take a few more nice deep belly breaths. And for those of you who have your legs against the wall, as an option, if you want to, you could extend them slightly wider, wherever your comfort is, and allow a couple of more deep breaths in that position. Take your last couple of breaths here with us. Nice deep inhale and a nice deep exhale, pulling in your belly buttons. And then as you exhale, with your next inhale, we're going to get ready to come out of our position of legs against the wall. So take your arms out, place them on the side and very gently bend your knees. And then allow your body to drop down on any one side gently. Support yourself with your other palm and hand, and then bring yourself to sit up. Find your block and then sit in a nice sitting comfortable position while you wait for Becki to guide us how to come out of her pose.
Bringing the knees into the chest, just gently guide the soles of the feet, maybe the tiptoes first, down onto the ground. And then using the toes or the balls of the feet, just lift the bottom up so the hips come up higher and roll the cushion or blanket underneath the legs, coming onto the back. And then just gently rolling onto one side, using the left hand to come up to a comfortable seat. Taking hold of your block or cushion and making your way back into whatever pose works for you in seated.
So it's a good idea after we come out of any pose to just close the eyes as you sit. Connect yourself just to notice the sensations that pose generated for you. Let it go. Gently open your eyes and come back to your spaces. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and we always like to leave you with some 3-minute yoga techniques to encourage you to try it out. And thank you so much, Becki. It was such a wonderful sharing today that you've done. And yes, the journey continues, and we continue with our program as well. And we'll see our viewers next time with another episode of Yoga Diaries to inspire you. Namaste.